I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. We return to Ether now. This is going to be the wrap-up of the Jaredites' history. Now remember, this is near the end of the life of Nephi, 55 years after they leave Jerusalem. Nephi is 70, a little over 70, and this is when he dies. We're getting to the final stage of the Jaredites. Now, what I'm going to read is not taking place necessarily after Nephi dies, but it is in the same period of Nephi's last years. The last 15 years of Nephi's life would have been about the same time period as what we're going to read today. In Jerusalem, most everybody is dead that we've been reading about. Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Zedekiah, all these guys have already died. The one exception is Daniel, who is now a very old man. He's pushing 80 years old now. He's the only one in the Old Testament that we've been reading about that is still alive. So let us read some of the final days of the Jaredites. We're going to turn to chapter 13. This chapter is a little long, not real long, but I am going to divide it into two videos. The first video will be the first 14 verses. I want to keep these videos somewhat short. So, Ether, chapter 13, reading verses 1 through 14. Ether speaks of a new Jerusalem to be built in America by the seed of Joseph. He prophesies as cast out, writes the Jaredite history, and foretells the destruction of the Jaredites. War rages over all the land. Now remember, Ether, he's the son of Coriantor, and it was Coriantor's father Moron was the last true king of the Jaredites, the last king of the royal line of Oriha. At this time, Ether is a grown man, and we don't know exactly how old he was, but I'm assuming he's probably in his 50s. He was probably born around the time that Jerusalem was destroyed, and so that's why I place this about the time of Nephi's death. So let us read. And now I, Moroni, proceed to finish my record concerning the destruction of the people of whom I have been writing. For behold, they rejected all the words of Ether, for he truly told them of all things from the beginning of man, and that after the waters had receded from off the face of this land, it became a choice land above all other lands, a chosen land of the Lord. Wherefore the Lord would have that all men should serve him who dwell upon the face thereof. And that it was the place of that new Jerusalem which should come down out of heaven, and the holy sanctuary of the Lord. Behold, Ether saw the days of Christ, and he spake concerning a new Jerusalem upon this land. And he spake also concerning the house of Israel, and the Jerusalem from whence Lehi should come. After it should be destroyed, it should be built up again, a holy city unto the Lord. Wherefore it could not be a new Jerusalem, for it had been in a time of old. Wherefore it could not be a new Jerusalem, for it had been in a time of old. But it should be built up again, and become a holy city of the Lord, and it should be built unto the house of Israel. And that a new Jerusalem should be built up upon this land, upon the remnant of the seed of Joseph, for which things there has been a type. For as Joseph brought his father down into the land of Egypt, even so he died there. Wherefore the Lord brought a remnant of the seed of Joseph out of the land of Jerusalem, that he might be merciful unto the seed of Joseph, that they should perish not, even as he was merciful unto the father of Joseph, that he should perish not. Wherefore the remnant of the house of Joseph shall be built upon this land, and it shall be a land of their inheritance, and they shall build up a holy city unto the Lord, like unto the Jerusalem of old. And they shall no more be confounded until the end come, when the earth shall pass away. And there shall be a new heaven and a new earth, and they shall be like unto the old, save the old have passed away, and all things have become new. And then cometh the new Jerusalem, and blessed are they who dwell therein. For it is they whose garments are white through the blood of the Lamb, and they are they who are numbered among the remnant of the seed of Joseph, who are of the house of Israel. And then also cometh the Jerusalem of old, and the inhabitants thereof. Blessed are they, for they have been washed in the blood of the Lamb, and they are they who were scattered and gathered in from the four quarters of the earth, and from the north countries, and are partakers of the fulfilling of the covenant which God made with their father Abraham. And when these things come, bringeth to pass the scripture which saith, There are they who were first who shall be last, and there are they who were last who shall be first. And I was about to write more, but I am forbidden. But great and marvelous were the prophecies of Ether. But they esteemed him as naught, and cast him out. And he hid himself in the cavity of a rock by day, And by night he went forth, viewing the things which should come upon the people. And as he dwelt in the cavity of a rock, he made the remainder of this record, viewing the destructions which came upon the people by night. We're going to end it there. Again, this is telling us that the gathering of Israel, the final miraculous gathering of Israel, will take place in the millennium. Because this is after all things have been done away, after the old has passed away and the new, we have new earth and new heaven. This is when the earth is restored to its paradisiacal state. It is taken out of this telestial state and moved to a terrestrial state during the millennium. And when that happens, that is when the city of New Jerusalem will truly be established. And that is when the city of Old Jerusalem will once again become a holy city, and Israel will gather to the two capitals. That is the prophecy of Ether. Ether saw the history of the American continents. He did see the Jerusalem of old, and it's being established in the last days. But he primarily saw the history of the American continents. He is being told what is going to happen here, because this is his home. And in the millennium, when he is resurrected, when he is brought back to the earth, this is where he'll live. This is his home. And so he was shown the history of these continents. And it's basically, he saw the history of the Nephites. By this time, Nephi and Lehi, they've already moved to the Americas. They've been here 40 years now, at least. Ether knows they're there in the south. The Jaredites are in the north. Lehi and his descendants are in the south. Ether knows they're there. They haven't met, but Ether knows they're there. And he knows what is going to happen. The people, however, reject his prophecies. And I wish we had more of what Ether wrote. Now, Ether, he kept the remainder of the record. He's the author of the last portion of the record here. So chapters 13, 14, and 15 are taken directly from the record of Ether himself. The rest of the record was kept by other prophets throughout the Jaredite history. But this portion was written by Ether. And it is abridged. Most of this is in the words of Moroni. He is abridging Ether's record. And so most of this is not Ether's actual words. This is not what Ether wrote. This is how Moroni is condensing and abridging what Ether wrote. But this is taken directly from his record. From this point on, it is all Ether. So we will finish this chapter in the next video, and I will see you there.